The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker released back in 2002, being a new title for the Legend of Zelda series. Though this title received a lot of criticism during its time, it is now proclaimed as one of the best Legend of Zelda games of all time. But what really made people hate this game? One of the most divisive aspects of Wind Waker is its unique visual style. Instead of opting for a realistic look like its predecessors, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Wind Waker embraced a cel-shaded art style reminiscent of a vibrant cartoon. This drastic departure from tradition didn't sit well with everyone, leading to a polarized response from fans. Many felt that this departure tarnished the series' established aesthetic and atmosphere. While many fans expected a darker and more mature tone for the Legend of Zelda series, Wind Waker received a lot of backlash from the fans to Nintendo, complaining about how the game looks like a cartoon and that they didn't enjoy it. It has limited items, limited dungeons, and this is not what they expected. They wanted something dark, more mature, and they want something realistic. But Nintendo decided to put out the Wind Waker after Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and the fans were not happy with it. Wind Waker took a lighter approach, featuring a more lighthearted storyline with humorous characters. Some players felt let down by this shift, longing for a continuation of darker themes found in previous titles. Many people adored Twilight Princess and Majora's Mask, hoping to see a continuation from the series. They wanted a more darker themed game that took a lot from these two games. These two games sparked a big thing in this community, and many people wanted to see it again. But it seems that Nintendo decided that they wanted to do something different and go to a different approach for the Legend of Zelda series by releasing Wind Waker. Wind Waker was a new approach as a whole. The whole game did not match what the Legend of Zelda aesthetic brought. Nobody was used to this, and nobody was ready. They didn't expect this to be the game they were going to receive during this time. The Wind Waker brought new things to the table, but many people were not pleased, considering they were expecting and hoping for a darker Legend of Zelda game that is highly influenced by Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. Another aspect that garnered criticism was the game's emphasis on sailing and exploration. While the vast ocean and numerous islands were praised for their beauty and sense of adventure, some players found the sailing mechanic tedious and time-consuming. They felt that it hindered the game's pacing and became repetitive after a while. The need to constantly navigate the seas to progress in the story became a source of frustration for some. When Nintendo officially made an HD remaster of Wind Waker, people were pleased to see that they added the Swift Sail, making it a lot easier to cross from ocean to ocean and from island to island. This made the game a lot faster, not as slow as it was on the GameCube, and a lot of people actually enjoyed this game. They were looking forward to playing Wind Waker with better graphics, improved mechanics, and more to it. People were actually excited to see an HD remaster for this game, even though it had so much criticism when it was first released. Many fans were not hoping for an HD remaster. They were still hoping for a more mature tone of a Legend of Zelda game, but Nintendo decided to release Wind Waker HD on the Nintendo Wii U, and a lot of people were pleased with it because it changed a lot from the original title, where the original title, it was slower, more tedious, but the new title actually brought a lot more to the table, and a lot of people were happy with it. Wind Waker features a smaller number of dungeons compared to the other Legend of Zelda games in the series. Some players felt that this reduction in dungeon content resulted in a shorter overall game experience. While the dungeons presented were well designed and memorable, the quantity left fans wanting more. The absence of a few traditional elements such as the hookshot also contributed to the disappointment felt by some players. Many players love the hookshot as an item and they wanted to use it more, but there were only certain areas where you were obligated to use it, and some areas where you're not able to. This made people upset. They wanted to see more out of this game, and the dungeons were not enough. As if the criticism wasn't enough for not having Wind Waker be a more mature game with a darker tone, backtracking was a big issue with this game. You would have to go back to certain dungeons, certain islands in order to complete the main quest, to learn new songs, when you could have just found different islands, new dungeons that you could learn these songs from. Instead, they just rehashed these locations and they put it in the game as a backtrack, which a lot of people did not like because it felt like you were repeating time. You felt like you were going in circles, and a lot of people were not pleased with this. They wanted more, and they were expecting more out of a new Legend of Zelda title, especially after the greatest games of all time, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. These are two of the greatest games of all time, not just in the Legend of Zelda series. And Wind Waker was the runner-up. And to see a lot of people disappointed, Nintendo was not happy, so they decided to make an HD remaster later on in the life cycle of the Nintendo Wii U. And it praised a lot of people's hopes, and a lot of people were pleased with seeing a HD remaster with newer dungeons, more to the game. The Swift Sail was added. A lot of things were new, and a lot of people were pleased, since there was not a lot of content in the original release for Wind Waker. One quest in particular that had a lot of fans not happy was the Hero's Charm. This was an item that revealed enemy health bars. However, acquiring it required players to complete a time-consuming figurine collection task. Many fans felt that this quest was unnecessary and tedious, leading to frustration and a sense of wasted time, which made people want to stop playing this game. The Hero's Charm quest was quite tedious for many because you would have to go to Mrs. Marie, give her an additional 20 joy pendants after having accepted the Cabana deed that was for 20 joy pendants. In the HD version, they placed the Hero's Charm at the end of the Savage Labyrinth. The reward for the figurine quest is that you have a figurine of Link made, but in the original, it was more tedious. Many people didn't enjoy going back and forth. They just wanted to play the game smoothly. They wanted to adventure off into the seas, travel across each island, do dungeons. But this specific quest held a lot of people back because they had trouble with it, or it was too long, or they just didn't want to do it. And it was a really important item in the game. You can see the health of all the enemies you're fighting. It's really useful, and receiving it would help a lot, especially in boss fights. Thankfully, in the HD remaster, as I said, they did change this. They made it easier to obtain. It was not as annoying. It wasn't tedious like the original version on the GameCube, and people were not held back by this specific quest. This quest was normal, and a lot of people enjoyed the game after this because it actually fixed a lot of issues with the game just being long for no reason. The beginning did not set anything good for this specific game, this specific title in the Legend of Zelda series, but once the HD remaster, not just for the HD graphics, not for the better quality, but just the game overall was better, everything was changed. There was a lot more mechanics that were added, especially the Swift Sail. That changed the entire game for everyone. And after that HD remaster was made, a lot of people enjoyed this game, which is what made it one of the best Legend of Zelda games of all time. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was such a hated game by a portion of the fan base. But it is important to remember that opinions on video games can be highly subjective, and we may not resonate with some players, might deeply resonate with others. Wind Waker's departure from the traditional Legend of Zelda formula, its divisive visual style, and the perceived lack of certain elements all contributed to its controversial status. However, it's worth noting now that despite the criticism back then, Wind Waker has also garnered a dedicated following and is considered a classic by many and one of the best Legend of Zelda games of all time. Even though we had a lot of criticism towards this game when it first came out, the HD remaster improved a lot, and a lot of people were happy and pleased with this result. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is now known to be one of the best games of all time, and it is. It's one of the most fun Legend of Zelda games you'll ever play. If you have not played this game, you are missing out because it really is fun. And thankfully, Nintendo made a change to the Wind Waker. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was not a fond game of many fans due to the issue that it had on the GameCube of being a tedious game, not having enough dungeons, having a lack of everything, honestly. And the art is something else. That's not something you can criticize the game for. That's just a different approach Nintendo had, and I think they nailed it, especially with the HD remaster. The HD remaster brought a lot to the table, improving on a lot of things. The graphics, the art, quests were not as tedious, and there were more dungeons to explore. This game was changed for the greater good, and a lot of people were happy that the Wind Waker got a second chance because they now realized that this game was good but just needed a few adjustments. So Nintendo made the right decision by making an HD remaster of Wind Waker because it obviously changed a lot of people's minds. What are your thoughts on The Legends of the Wind Waker? Have you played this title? And if you haven't, what are you doing? This is one of the best Legend of Zelda titles in all of the series. It had a lot of hate back then, but now it is known to be one of the best Legend of Zelda games in the series and a classic. So just let me know what you guys think of The Legends of the Wind Waker. Do you enjoy it? Do you have any criticism towards it? Did you not enjoy it when it first came out? And have you played it? If you haven't, again, play this game. If you love the Legends of Zelda series, you have to play the Legends of the Wind Waker. It is an experience you cannot miss. But with all of that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.